In this video, we're going to talk about why attractive girls can be so intimidating and how to actually be confident when you face her, and ultimately how to date hotter girls. I'll start this off with a bit of a politically incorrect question. If you had to talk to an ugly girl or a hot girl, who would make you more nervous? The answer is pretty obvious, that the hot girl will probably make you a lot more nervous, and the ugly girl, maybe you'll hardly even feel any sort of pressure at all. But why is this? Both are just human females, and talking to either one of them involves facing the judgment of another person. So what is it that makes an attractive girl so much more intimidating, to the point that it's actually a tangible thing? Like, you can actually feel the pressure just from her presence, and she will have this kind of effect on the world around her wherever she goes. To understand what's really going on, we have to go into a bit deeper psychology. Basically, when you face a girl, you're also facing the pressure of what you feel on an unconscious level is her entire social world and her place within society as a whole. And the more beautiful the girl, the higher and more powerful echelons of society she represents to our unconscious mind. Basically, because she's so beautiful, so she's desired by so many more people, including at these higher levels. And even if this is not actually true at all, and she's not associated with any sort of powerful people or anything like that, it's what we feel on an instinctive level. In other words, as far as your instinctive mind is concerned, there are rich and powerful alpha males who might also be interested in being with her, who you are indirectly in competition with when you face her. And it's not just other guys, but just in general, like if you see a super attractive girl, it feels like she might be famous or have a high-level social circle, or just in some way be part of some powerful group of people. So when you face her, it's as though you are also facing this entire group of high-level people, so you feel the same kind of pressure as though you were up on stage talking to all of them. But this is actually only sort of half of the answer, because this kind of pressure goes both ways. Like, the fact that she is so attractive means that she herself has to face this exact same kind of pressure. So just by being that beautiful, as she goes about her life, she will inevitably have to face a lot of pressure. First of all, there will always be a lot of people looking at her and talking about her and forming judgments and opinions about her, and on some level she can feel this. But then it goes even deeper, because her beauty will cause other people to be interested in her, but at the same time it will reflect other people's insecurities, where they basically feel inferior in her presence. So in one way or another, she'll have to deal with situations where people will want to get something out of her, and if they can't, then they lash out at her out of jealousy and stuff like that. And this could include drama with different guys and all the emotional turmoil that comes along with that, and possibly even more crazy things like stalker type situations or something like that. But also with other girls, where there is an instinctive competitive instinct that girls have, where they will gang up and create gossip and ostracize the most beautiful girls to basically get rid of the competition so that they can be with the more attractive men. So it's pretty common to see examples of the most beautiful girls, even girls who ended up becoming supermodels later in their life, who were bullied in school growing up. And this is not necessarily going to be the case. Like, there can be many different specific ways that all of this actually happens in her life. But the point is that in one way or another, as she grows up, she will face and absorb all this kind of pressure, which basically represents the pressure of the overall social world at her level of beauty. And the end result of this is that she starts to embody a tangible sort of magnetism, whereby facing and absorbing this kind of pressure, she will naturally build up a counterbalancing force from within herself to push back against all that pressure. This happens basically as a kind of stress adaptation, where her system will undergo subtle physiological changes on a cellular level, with the overall cumulative effect that she exudes a kind of aura and a force of presence that has an effect on the world around her and anyone she comes in contact with. For example, maybe you've noticed that hot girls always have strong eye contact. This is because as she grows up, she's always going to have people looking at her in public, and she'll basically have to face the eyes of other people, whether directly or through her peripheral vision. And in doing so, she has to exert her own force of eye contact from within to push back against all the opposing eyes of other people. This is why hot girls always have more powerful and penetrating eye contact than less attractive girls, because the power in her eyes is directly connected underneath the surface to the level of pressure that she faces from the overall social world at her level of beauty. And it works the same way for guys as well, and we'll get into that in a bit when we talk about how to actually face the pressure of an attractive girl. But this is just on the surface, because the eyes are actually connected to deeper layers of emotion inside of us. So in a similar way that she will sort of absorb the eye contact of other people around her, she will also absorb all these other kinds of pressure in life as well. Because basically what the eyes represent in the most basic form is someone else's perspective or their point of view. So in the same way that she will feel the pressure of other people's eyes by directly coming into contact with them, she will also feel judgment from the perspectives of other people and from the social world as a whole in various different ways. And just like how she builds up a power in her eyes, she also builds up a power in her overall presence. So then if you come in contact with her, you'll feel this sort of pressure. It's like the accumulated force of all the pressure that she has to face in her life is then channeled through her. So when you face her, it feels as though you are facing all that pressure. So this is the reason why beautiful girls can feel so intimidating. It's because of the pressure of the overall social world that is associated with her level of beauty that you can feel unconsciously when you face her, which is communicated through her by this magnetic force of presence that she embodies. And within this phenomenon lies the answer to how you can confidently face her and attract her and ultimately date hotter girls. Basically, you need to go through a process where you face and absorb the pressure of the social world to build up the exact same kind of magnetism in yourself. So a beautiful girl will naturally have to face and absorb all this kind of pressure just because of her beauty and the fact that she attracts all of this into her life. But as a man, you basically need to do the same kind of thing through your own conscious efforts. So for example, when it comes to eye contact, like we were talking about before, a beautiful girl will naturally attract the attention of the eyes around her. But as a man, that's not really going to happen to you, but you can go out and purposely make eye contact with random people and with random attractive girls and build up more powerful eye contact in exactly the same kind of way that we were talking about earlier, except doing it intentionally as a kind of exercise. But also, again, just like how the eyes represent the perspectives and judgments of other people, you can also face the judgment and pressure of the social world in other ways, where you need to put yourself out there in one way or another to expose yourself to this kind of judgment of the social world and then adapt to that pressure over time. And this also includes specifically going out of your way to meet and date girls and have relationships where you have to face her judgment and the possibility of rejection and everything else. And by doing this, you are basically indirectly facing all the same pressure that she embodies. So as you meet and date and sleep with different girls, your system will adapt to that kind of pressure at whatever level of beauty that she is at. And you can keep striving to date hotter and hotter girls. And as you do so, you will build up a greater and greater force of magnetism and overall confidence inside of yourself by facing this kind of pressure at these higher and higher levels. And I'm not going to go into all the details of exactly how to do all this. If you want more in-depth, step-by-step training to put this into practice, I actually have an entire course where I teach all of this in a lot more detail. You can click on the link in the description if you're interested. But if you do go through this kind of process, what happens is that, like, you know the feeling where you're facing an attractive girl and you feel the pressure, like maybe you make eye contact with her or you're talking to her or whatever, and it's basically just too much for your system to handle, and it can make you nervous, or like your consciousness is scattered into oblivion and you can't think clearly, or maybe you're just like totally suppressed. But as you go through the kind of process where you face and absorb the pressure of the social world, your system will build up the inner emotional and psychological strength to handle greater amounts of pressure and stress, so that she no longer has that kind of effect on your system, and you can maintain a clear, sharp, conscious focus and be able to think clearly and express yourself freely and have strong eye contact and everything else. This is necessary in order for her to be attracted to you and for anything to happen between you and her. Basically, in order to be able to handle the girl, you need to be able to handle the pressure that she embodies at her level of beauty. And it's just like with lifting weights, where you can build up this kind of inner strength over time. When I started out, there's no way I would be able to date the kind of girls that I do now. I would pretty much just shut down whenever there were any girls at all. Like, even if they were not very attractive, I was just extremely introverted and had a lot of social anxiety and everything else. But once I started to understand some of the things that we've gone over in this video, I basically went all in. And now I've traveled all over the world and dated models, and now I'm pretty good at being able to meet and date attractive girls. So basically, over time through training, you can do it. Whatever level you're at right now, like, you can build up the confidence to date hotter and hotter girls. But all that being said, it's one thing to just be confident and have this kind of magnetism in general, but in order to have any sort of success with girls, you actually have to apply this into actual interactions where your frame and your confidence will be tested, and you basically have to win the frame battles in order to draw her into your world so that she will be attracted to you and things can move forward. And I just made another video where I explain all of this in a lot more detail. You can click on the video that should be on the screen right now to watch it.